I'm sure most of you guys have those girls, those women out there who really kind of, they got to you, man. They hit it hurt. It hurt when you couldn't get them. I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of when I started my first job. Damn, 10 years. It's crazy. It's crazy how fast 10 years flew by. By the time I know it, it'll be another 10, and this story that I'm going to tell you would have been 20 years ago. That's crazy to think. But 10 years ago I got my first job. Well, 10 years ago at the end of this month, I got my first job at a dollar discount store. I got this job thanks to connections. Um, I didn't really want to go out looking for a job, so I kind of just used the connections that I had to pretty much get a guaranteed job, right? So I'm coming back from North Carolina. I had spent a summer out in North Carolina. And I just, I was in the gym. I was eating clean out there. I was doing like meal prep, chicken, rice, broccoli, that type of stuff. And I was feeling good. I was feeling good. I felt like I was probably at my most attractive then. I was 17. I was leaner at least. Uh, Still like a high school student. So I still kind of had that mindset where I still believed in myself. And well, I start this job, right? And I'm walking to I was got hired as a cashier. So they hired me as a cashier, and because obviously I'm a student, the only time that I was able to work was in the afternoon. So I think on my first day or my second day, I'm walking back from the cash register to the break room, and I cross paths with this girl. And she was this kind of like tan skin, kind of uh, like tan skin, pretty Latina girl. She was real pretty. She was short. She was like not short, not no midget, but like shorter than me. Um, Real pretty, real feminine voice, real just beautiful eyes, just a very beautiful woman. And she was 22, and I think I was 17, right? And I remember just seeing her, and just like falling in love, man, like instantly. Like instantly, I felt like, oh my god, look at this woman. She's beautiful. She smiled at me. Like when you're a guy and you don't have much success with women, a smile is enough, man. All you need is a smile. Sometimes a smile will have you, a smile will have you falling in love with the damn woman if you don't get that much play like me. And I remember like we crossed paths, and I looked at her, and she smiled at me, and I smiled back. And I just went to the break room, and I was just thinking about her. I was like, what? I work with her. Oh my God, what a blessing, because I'm telling you, I was blue pill. I thought like it was about perseverance and determination and grit to get women. And like I'm just in the break room thinking to myself, like all feeling all giddy, all excited, like, damn, I work with this girl. I gotta make a move, I gotta try. And like time goes by, we're working together. I do my best to initiate conversation with her because I'm telling you, like, I've never been an attractive guy. So I always had these delusional ideas of what it took to get a woman. I didn't realize that you just have to be her physical type. I didn't realize that back then. I thought it was about, I was 17 years old. I was coming off Disney Channel indoctrination about how you gotta, you gotta go up to her, you gotta declare your love, you gotta make it known, you gotta chase her like crazy and make her your woman. And I was on all this type of delusional thinking. And like I start trying to talk to her. Like I've always been love shy because I'm unattractive. Like how am I gonna be this confident guy that's just out here like, I solemnly declare my love for you. That's not me, bro. I'm freaking unattractive. So I'm waiting. There's like moments where I'm at work and I'm eyeballing her. I'm looking at her schedule. Like we had the whole schedule. There was like the schedule in the break room, and I'm looking at her schedule. I'm seeing what time goes in, and then I'm calculating what time her break would be. So if she went in at 5, I know that 7 she has a break. So I'm doing my best to try to get into the break room and cross paths with her, because that's what I thought it was about. I thought it was about, oh, you cross paths with the woman, and you plant the seed of curiosity, and throughout time she falls in love with you. And I was on all this dumb blue pill stuff, man. And we just like here and there we start talking. I remember talking to her, and I was just so nervous. Like, I remember like my heart beating out of my chest, because like I said, I know I'm not that guy. I didn't know it then. I just thought I was like love shy back then. I thought that was the only thing that was like stopping me from it. Like, I'm a mental cell, I'm neurodivergent. I don't think the way normal guys do. Like, I thought that was the only thing affecting me. So I thought if I was to just put myself out there and get out of my comfort zone, that sooner or later, I'm gonna have myself a girlfriend. I'm gonna have you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have Alejandra by my side. That's what I was thinking. And like, we were like, I remember going to the break room, and she was sitting there, and I remember walking in there, and I just started talking to her, and I was asking her, like, how long you been working here? She said only a couple weeks, so we were both new, and I was like, oh, I'm new too, where are you from? And she's like, oh, I'm from Mexico. And I'm like, oh, wow. I come from Mexico too. What? I used to think that having relatable things, like things that are like, I used to think that relating to a woman, having things that are similar with each other, was the key to get women. I used to think that deep conversation, or at least attempting to have deep conversation, was what would get women. And like, I remember I was like, what part of Mexico are you from? She's like, oh, I'm from Guanajuato. And I was like, no way, like, I'm near there too. And like, I was like, what type of music do you listen to? Like, this dumb, like, just like interview, no no connection, no chemistry, no spark. She's not putting in any effort on her end. It's just this like kind of one-sided, like, this one-sided relationship, this one-sided affair right here, where I'm just like, I'm orbiting her, I'm hovering over her, trying to pry her open in a sense, and she's just not. And I remember she just like, her time was up, and she just got up, punched her number into the machine, and left. Like, she just said bye to me, and that's it. It's like, there was no like, maybe we'll see each other around, yeah, I like you, none of that, man. Just straight up coldness, just straight up like, goodbye. And from there on, I'm telling you, I was in the mindset of perseverance is king. I was in the mindset of, you gotta chase her. You gotta. I used to think that it was like taming a horse, that you gotta like ride the horse until you tame it, and then it's yours. Like, no, like, that's not how women work. Like, now I know. Now I know, but back then I didn't know that. Back then I thought like, you could just forge your path in this world, and you could get the woman you want if you just want it bad enough. I used to think that. I used to really think that. So there began a very embarrassing 3-4 months where I was just like, every day she would come into work, I would wait for her there. This is like the one of the like first times and only times that I started simping. So I remember it was my lunch. It was my lunch break, and I wanted to connect with her. I wanted her to like know, and that I could provide, because I used to think that as well. I used to think that you have to prove to a woman that you could provide. You have to prove to a woman that you keep her in mind. You have to initiate. You have to let her know that you're a man, that you could fulfill the man's roles, that you're the dude that she could lean on, and that will make her attracted to you. And I remember there was this time, it was my lunch break, and I wanted to prove to her that I liked her. I wanted to prove to her that I cared about her and that I could take care of her. So I I went over to her, and I offered her, like, I was like, hey, you hungry? I'm gonna go to Subway. I could buy you something if you want, so you could eat. And then she like the thing is like I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware. I like the way I said it, I used like a word that like is kind of like offensive, in Spanish. Like I asked her if she wanted something to tragar, which means like and tragar means it's kind of like a way. It's like it's like feed almost. Like you want something to feed on, like kind of like an animal. I wasn't aware of it, right? And she just like calls me out on it. She's like, why are you talking to me in that way? Like you don't have to talk to me like that. I'm not an animal or something. I was like, what? And I was like, oh, what do you mean? I was like, when you're a mental cell and you mess up, quote unquote, you like mess up, and you go on this like stuttering rampage of like just this like foolish like outburst where your body is you're not even in control of your body. I did this foolish outburst. I was like, oh, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I didn't know that's what it meant. I went on this foolish outburst, and then I just like trying to prove myself. Like it was just so cringy. It's so cringy to think that you have to try to court like you at one. Like, it's so cringy that I at one point believed that I had to do this kind of this courting process, that I had to check these boxes. I used to really think it was this like bureaucratic process where there's like you like step one, like and then there's step 6 and 7, and then by step 12 you have. I used to really think that. I used to really believe that at my core. I used to really believe that, and and I remember like after I stopped going on that like Spurg tirade, and she just kind of like coldly like said, yeah, I'll take your food, pretty much. Like she didn't say that, but she kind of like it seems like now. Looking back at it now, it was just kind of like, yeah, I'll take your food. I'll take your food, you simp. You fool. You know what I'm saying? And there I go, all jolly walking over the subway, crossing the risking getting hit by a car, buying expensive ass sub, and then like I'm like I have a 30-minute break, so I'm like sweating bullets trying to make it. Just trying to have some time with her, trying to make sure the subway guy works as fast as he can so I could get over there and at least get 4 to 5 minutes with her. And I run across the street, and we were just kind of like eating together, and it's very awkward. It's very awkward. And it's just like we were kind of talking a little bit, but it just felt forced, and it just wasn't natural. It wasn't natural. There wasn't any charisma. I'm telling you, this is back when I was trying to force things. I was trying to force Max this relationship. I was trying to force Max my way into her heart. Like I was trying to I was using like I was trying to bulldoze. I was trying to jackhammer my way inside her, inside her heart, bro. And and it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and people started picking up on it. Like some of my coworkers started clowning on me, like, oh, like, oh, he doesn't bring us any food, because we're not Alejandra. They would clown on me and stuff, and I just kind of thought like, oh, they're looking at me like, oh, I'm a man, I'm in love, like. Like there's like that blue pill trope, like, oh, he's in love, like, oh, he's in love, and it's like I used to think that was me, like, oh, I'm in love, and like it's just so embarrassing, dude. I really thought, and that wasn't like the last time, bro. I remember one time there's this like a Hawaiian food place. I don't know if you guys have it near you, but it's called L&L Hawaiian Barbecue. It's like a franchise, and I was like really into that food at the while, right? And I one day I like told her, I was like, hey, have you ever tried Hawaiian food? Because I'm telling you, I was like, it's insane. It's insanity. I was insane. I was like clinically insane right there. Trying the same thing, hoping for a different result with this girl. I was like, have you ever tried Hawaiian food? And she's like, no, I haven't. I was like, would you like to try some? And then she's like, sure. And I was like, oh, I'll bring us some tomorrow, and we could eat it together during lunch. And she's just like, okay. Because I was like, I'm telling you, I thought you're supposed to be this guy that initiates moments, initiates like the catalyst for events. Like, oh, we're gonna eat, we're gonna do this. I used to think that that's how you got into a woman's heart and brain and soul. You know, I didn't know back then that it's just all about how you look and how dominant you are as a good looking man. That's what it is about. It's about how dominant you are as a good looking man. So if you're a good looking man, you made it. You made it. You're a good looking man and you're probably dominant. Even if you're not dominant, you're good looking. So you made it, right? And I remember like like telling my mom, like, hey mom, I was like, bro, I was such a soy boy, bro. Like I honestly, bro, like like I would have smacked the old me. Like out of love. Like, come on, man. Come on, pendejo, wake up, man. Give me a smack on the head. Like, quit being a simp, man. I asked my mom, I was like, hey mom, can you take me to the Hawaiian food place? I'm gonna buy some food, so I could go to work. And then she's like, okay. And I like lied, bro. I lied. I'm not even lying. I lied. I lied to my mom. I was like, oh, I'm taking this because there was like a friend of my mom's that worked there, and like they weren't necessarily like best friends, but they like worked with each other before, and they kind of knew each other off of that. So I lied to my mom because I didn't want my mom to know that I liked the girl. Because I'm telling you, I've always been love shy. I've always been embarrassed by the idea of people knowing that I like a woman. It's weird, bro. It's weird, bro, because it just stems from being ugly. It just stems from being a failure in love. Like when you're a failure in love, it's kind of like, why are you gonna try the same thing in front of people that they've seen you fail already? So it's like a defense mechanism, right? And I lied. I was like, "Hey, I'm taking a plate to the friend, the family friend, right?" And my mom was like, "Oh, that's nice of you," And I was like, "Yeah, I made up this whole backstory, like, oh, she's bought me food in the past, and I want to make it up to her." It's like, bro, here I like it's I'm lying. I'm lying about having this like reciprocal, like relationship with the family friend where like we share food. I'm lying about that because I'm embarrassed to tell my mom that I'm in this one-sided love story. I'm in this one-sided affair here where she's completely and utterly indifferent towards me and just accepts anything that I have to give her for free because I'm a stupid simp that deserves it. And I'm lying about that, right? And whatever. I get to work. I'm so jolly. Like honestly, bro, like sometimes I cringe. Like I'm telling you, I wish I could, like sometimes I see myself like in third person in those events. Like I'm like it's like I could see those I could see those events take place in third person in my head. So it's kind of like I'm standing in the corner watching me in my head. Like, man, like you really like, I was all jolly, bro. I was so jolly, dude. Like I was a young 17-year-old, just jolly, just happy, jolly, happy go lucky, thinking the world is mine, gonna get my woman. I'm thinking peaches and cream, bro. Bubblegum, I'm thinking bubblegum gumdrops, bro. I'm thinking bread and cookies. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Santa Claus is coming in through the chimney tonight type of bullshit, And freaking Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy's gonna leave $1 under my bed type of thoughts, And like I finally make it to work and like I see her there and I'm like, I got the food for us. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing, bro. I did this thing where like I raised the bag of food and I was like, I got the food for us, we could eat it during lunch, like I was just so jolly and so excited. This is like, honestly, this is like one of the first times that I seriously put my foot to the pedal to try and quote unquote get a girl, like where I tried actively. And like break arrives and we're eating together and stuff. And like I only catch her for like a couple minutes. Like I'm in the break room waiting for her and stuff. And she like comes in like in the last 10 minutes and then like we eat for like 10 minutes together and then I leave and then she just finishes the play on her own. It's so sad. It's so, and it's sad to know that there's men out there doing that in their 30s and 40s. At least my excuse was I was 17 and 18, right? And I would do this embarrassing thing, man. I would do this embarrassing thing where like anytime I would see her, I would give her compliments all the time. Like, wow, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. Like just like embarrassing, like things that I thought would work. Cause I seen them in a movie, I've seen them in like an old Western Or like Clint Eastwood says some shit and it works for him. It's like, bro, because that's Clint Eastwood, dude. You're a manlet, you know. And I would do this thing where I would just like you ever seen that like chef's kiss emoji where like people just like they like ball up their fist almost and they put it up towards their hands and they're like, wow, like you know what I'm saying, that like chef's kiss thing. And I would do that about her, and then she would just like kind of smile and then turn around and leave. And I remember like one time I walked up to her during lunch, like I was like I felt like adrenaline, like 'cause I was like, this is a move. Like I thought this was a move, bro. I thought this was like a power play. I thought this was like a nail in the coffin, you know. And I like walk up to her and I'm like, you know, you need to give me your phone number. You need to give me your phone number. She's like, I don't like giving out my phone number. I was like, come on, why not? We work together, you know me. She's like, nah, I don't really like giving out my phone number. And then I'm like, all right, you know. And then like the 5 stages of grief begin, you know, bartering or bargaining or whatever. I'm like, all right, you know, it's cool. Can I get your Facebook? And she's like, oh, I don't have a Facebook. And I was like, oh, you really don't have a Facebook? She's like, no. And I was like, do you have an Instagram? She's like, no, I don't have an Instagram. I don't have an Instagram. And I was like, and then the denial and the acceptance kicked in. I was like, okay, you know. And I like walked back so defeated, feeling stupid. And then I kind of like try to be mad at her. I kind of try to be mad at her for a day or two, and it did nothing. She didn't even notice. You know, she didn't even notice. And that's just kind of how it went on for like the better part of almost a year. For like at least 6 months went on like that. And I remember one of the most simp things I did one time is my sister had a car, like a little old Corolla, and she would let me use it. You know, she would let me use it. And I remember like I took it to work one time, and like I'm telling you, I was just looking for anything. Like it's so sad. It's actually super sad to think about how desperate I was for her. You know, it's sad. You know, it's sad to think like when you actually sit back and you try to analyze and you try to like see how much you respected yourself or didn't respect yourself. It's kind of sad to see that I was really like disrespecting myself in those eras. Like I was like really putting this girl on a pedestal and trying to do anything I could, gesture maxing, everything, the whole nine. Like I would try to gesture max. I would try to relate max. I would try to, you know, like I would get haircuts every 2 weeks trying to get my appeal up. And I just was never her type. You know, I was just never gonna be her type. And I remember like one time, like I'm telling you, I was looking for anything to get time with her, looking for anything to get one-on-one energy, one-on-one time with her. And I was like, I would always like I'm telling you, I would try to look like I'm intelligent. I would try to look like I'm a worthy candidate. So I would tell her stuff like, oh, I could do this, you know, I could do this. I've done this before, you know, I've done this type of, you know, blue collar work. I've done this. I've repaired that. I did this job. I would try to do all these things to try to prove to her that I was, you know, high value or whatever. And we, like at one time I was like I would always ask her if she knew how to drive. I was like, hey, you want to learn how to drive? You want to have some driving lessons today? Because I'm telling you, I was looking for anything to get one-on-one time with her. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, I have a car. You know, I could give you some lessons after work if you want. And she's like, no, it's okay. You know, I don't want to risk hurting your car. I was like, no, you know, I want you to learn. You know, I was like so blue pill. I was like, I used to think like wanting to level a woman up would make her want to be with you. I was like, I want you to learn. You know, I was so blue pill, peaches and cream. And then she was like, okay, you know, and I was like, we were both closing. Like the store closed at 11:30. So, well, we left at 11:30. The store closed at 10, right? And you know, I'm like so giddy those couple hours where I'm just anticipating being in the car with her, and and dude, you know what's crazy? This literally just came back to me right now. She asked me to not tell anyone that I was giving her lessons. And she bullshitted me. She's like, "Oh, it's because I just don't want any problems at the store." But looking at it back now, she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed that this ugly guy might go around puffing his chest that he had her in his car. You know, I see that now. Like she disguised it as like, "Oh, I don't want any problems at the store. Like the manager's on me, this and that." But realistically, she would have never told that to a Chad. She would have never told that to a Tyrone. She would have never told that to a Chad Rodriguez. And and she like made me kind of sign like she made me sign this like verbal non-disclosure agreement, bro. And it's like it's so sad. I was like, yeah, it's fine. I won't tell no one. And and like the time came. It was like 11:30, and like I went and got the car, and I kind of waited till everybody left, and I pulled up and picked her up, and then like we went to the back of the store because there was this big parking lot where the trucks would park and stuff with the groceries. And she was like, I let her in the car, and I was just teaching her how to drive, and I was just so happy. I was so giddy. I was so like excited, thinking I was winning, thinking I was making progress, thinking like the progression bar was going up. And she was just like driving and stuff, and I mean she sucked, like I didn't really see any like potential for her to ever be a NASCAR driver. You know what I'm saying? But I was like hyping her up. I was like, wow, you're doing great. You're a natural. I used to think being this like emote guy, like spitting out emotes, like, wow, yay, you're doing great. I used to think like spitting out these emotes was gaining me points, man. Because I used to believe in browning points back in the day. Like, oh, you get browning points. You get, you're getting points. I used to think that. And like, whatever, like, we drive around for like 30 minutes or whatever. And then she's like, all right, you could take me home. And we switch seats out. And I'm like, where do you live? And she's like, oh, down this street. And then I like take her down this little alley. And I just leave her. I like left her in the alley, and she just like went in through this like sliding door, and I just left. And I was so happy, bro. I was so jolly. I was so jolly. I went home and I was like skipping. There was a skip in my step, There was like I was whistling, some fucking greaser stuff going on, and that didn't lead anywhere. Didn't lead anywhere. Uh, Nothing that I tried. I tried like another 2 times to get her Instagram or her phone number, and she never gave me anything. She would always say she didn't have social media. And then one day, I lie to you not, I went on. I was like obsessive. I was obsessive, and I went on this like 2-hour search to find her on Facebook, and I found her. I found her, man. I found her. So she had been lying to me the whole time about not having Facebook. And it was just like pictures of her and stuff, and like her cover photo was this like Chad Rodriguez. She had like a Chad Rodriguez guy as her cover photo. It was like this like Chad Rodriguez guy with like a perfect head of hair, like a big like a full beard, like just like a buchon type of look. Anybody who's into like kind of like a narco type of look, you know what I'm saying? Not me at all, not me at all. And I just remember seeing her on there, and like my heart sank, man. My heart sank because I still thought women didn't lie. I still thought I had a chance, and I just wasn't going anywhere, man. And I remember this new manager had gone in. There's like they like transferred him over from like a different store. They had like absorbed a bunch of managers from a different company that shut down. They absorbed a bunch of managers and like assistant managers, and they sent him to my store. And he was like this fucking charismatic guy. I had nothing. Like there was nothing I could do if this guy, this guy just ran shit. Like this guy just, first off, he was in a position of power, and his charisma and like women just liked him. And I remember he started rizzing her up, man. He started rizzing her up, and I just remember like looking at them from like the aisles and just feeling this like this pit in my stomach, this knot in my stomach, like no, Mikasa, don't be defiled. And because the thing is, this guy was married, so this guy was just like a bad boy from hell. This guy was literally like a bad boy sent from hell, like a complete opposite of me, just like the complete opposite of who I am as a man. And he just like bro, like he had her laughing, man. He had her, man. I would not be surprised if he smashed. He had her. He had every girl there. He like got nudes from this like one assistant manager there, and he showed me them. He was showing me nudes from a person who worked at our store. That's crazy. Like that's a different level of just, that's a different man. That's a different level of man. And he like Alejandra was like falling for him, I think, and shit. And I remember like one time we were talking, and then like he just like asked me, he's like, hey, he's like, what do you think of Alejandra? And I was like, yeah, she's cute, man. I tried to get at her in the past, and he's like, oh, that's you. He's like, that's you. And I was like, nah. I was like, nah, man. I mean, she never liked me back. He's like, nah, that's you, man. That's you, man. He's like, that's you, bro. Like, I ain't finna mess with her, man. That's all you. And it's like, to the average person, they may be like, what a cool guy. What a lovely lad. What a bro. What a cool cat. But in the way I took it, it was a dominance display. It was like you're beneath me, bro. It's like, bro, I give you my blessing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like the mafia, like, oh, like you got my protection, but you're paying them. So, it's like that's how it felt. It felt like I was just getting mogged. Like I was getting mogged. And it's getting mogged feels horrible, man. Getting mogged feels horrible. And he's like, that's all you, man. I'm a back off. He literally said that. He's like, I'm a back off, man. I'm a back off. Like, bro, I really wouldn't doubt if he smashed. He like smashed all the girls there, dude. Like he ran house. Like he fucking cleaned house, bro. So I really doubt Alejandra wasn't a victim. And that shit just like, I just felt horrible after that. And then like a few days later, I'm like coming out of the back room, cause like by that time, like so much time had allotted that I had actually gained like kind of like some privileges at the job. Cause I was like the typical try hard, I used to think you got to try really hard at these jobs. And I mean, it did get me like a couple of perks. Like I was kind of just allowed to free roam. Like they just kind of believed that I just would do work. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I had proved myself so much that they just believed I would work. So it was very rare for them to call me. Sometimes they would call me to the front, like, can you be a cashier for 30 minutes while this person takes break? But I kind of had my own little schedule going on. So I remember, and her job, she was like the cleanup type of things, like the aisle cleanups, like stock facer, like anybody who's worked retail, like when you face stuff, you front stuff, or you like refill shelves. She was that, and like go backs. Like if you've ever worked retail, about go backs. Like they go back, it's a go back, like a customer doesn't want something to go back, you put it back. And I remember like walking out and I saw her with this guy who it wasn't the guy from the photo, but it was the same phenotype. It was the same archetype. It was the same. It was basically the same. It's kind of like, it's like the same guy, basically. It's the same guy from the freaking cover photo on Facebook. And I'm like looking, man. I'm looking. Like I'm observing, man. Like I'm pretending to do some work. And I'm like far enough away to the point where I don't think they see me, because she's so dialed in on him. She's so lost in the world with him. She's not even working, like she wasn't even working. She was literally, bro, he had her so captivated she stopped doing her job. She was not doing her job the whole time. She was the guy was like like on the like they were doing this like flirtatious kind of ritual thing where she's on one end of the shopping cart with her hands on the handlebars of the shopping cart, leaning on it, and he's like leaning on the opposite end of the shopping cart. So it's this kind of this like ritualistic kind of like dance of attraction that they're doing. And I lie to you not, bro. He's talking and she's laughing. She has the biggest smile I've ever seen in my life on her face. That's like the biggest smile I've ever seen on her face ever. And she's twiddling her hair. She's playing with her hair. And she's got one leg. She's like has like one leg up. Those are all displays of attraction from a woman. And he has her. He has her captivated. And I just remember looking like a defeated man, like just like an excess man, you know, like just like looking, just observing this man getting what I've wanted for so long. And he's just like, they're not even paying me any freaking mind. I just like observe for like a good amount of time, and then I just kind of like just go into work mode. I start coping by working. I just start doing all types of work trying to cope. And then the messed up thing is I crossed paths with her later on that day, and she was like talking to me for some reason. Why? Why was she talking to me? Why was she in a good mood with me? Because she was happy that she saw and had a good interaction with that guy before me. When a woman is nice to you, that usually is kind of cold and indifferent towards you, it's because she saw another man that made her happy, and she's in such a happy mood that she'll talk to you. It's like it's weird. It's like I think you guys know what I'm talking about. And like pretty much, man, that like that was pretty much like the beginning of the end of my infatuation. Just like seeing all these clear signs that it's never gonna happen. And then like this new girl joins the job, and I kind of start like getting infatuated with her. And like Alejandra's trying to talk to me here and there, like just casual type of talk. And I think she kind of noticed that I was starting to like this other girl, and she would like try to do cute stuff, because it's like she like no girl wants to lose her orbiter, you know. No girl wants to lose an orbiter. Like, let's be real, no girl wants to actually lose an orbiter. And then like something happened at the job, and we all got moved, and we got moved to different stores. We moved to different stores, and then I saw her like one last time. Like, she actually ended up giving me her number near the end of it. Like right before we had to all move stores, she finally gave me her number. And like we talked a little bit, and then it just fizzled out. You know, it just fizzled out. And what I mean by fizzled out is I got tired of trying to, double, triple texting this woman. Well, not triple texting, but you get what I'm saying. Like pretty much partaking in a conversation that's not leading anywhere. And that's pretty much the end, man. It was a brutal time. It was a really brutal, almost like a year, where I was just obsessed with this woman, just trying to get her, and just getting reminded that I'm not that guy, And, sometimes I just got to retell stories, because I'm not going to lie, man, this was 10 years ago. Like, who knows where my memory might be 10 years from now. I might not even remember this story. So, and I want to do like a series, and this is probably, I guess you could call this episode 1. I just want to retell my stories, my failed conquests. But, that's the story of Alejandra, man. It didn't lead anywhere. She never liked me. I chased, and it never led anywhere. But yeah, man, peace out, brothers. A quick, brutal little side story that I forgot to say in the main video was, and this one probably hurt the most, and I don't even know how I forgot it, but I think it was my brain protecting me by hiding this very brutal very brutal, brief interaction that I had. Like I'm telling you guys, back then, I was 17 years old. I didn't have a car, and I would ride around in a bike. I would get rides. I would take a bike, one of those two, right? And there I was. I was just this 17-year-old guy, the 17-year-old dreamer. And I would just ride my bike to work or catch rides. Just very, bummy dude versions of transportation, according to society. And, one day my brother offered to give me a ride home from work. And like I'm telling you, I worked the night shift closing. So by the time I was in there still doing work, everybody was gone. The plaza was empty. All the cars were gone. And I'm the janitor pretty much. Like I'm telling you, I was doing so many jobs at that store. I was just doing everything. And I would sweep and mop the store, right? So I'm like sweeping. I'm sweeping and I clean that up, big ass pile of trash. And then I prepare like my mixture to mop, right? And I'm mopping the store and I'm mopping up by the cash registers. And the cash registers are obviously near the front. And in the front, there was this gigantic glass window, typical store where you could see inside. And outside was my brother. He was parked. He had a red Camaro, like a new for the time red Camaro, cherry red. And I remember she was like near the front exit of the store, and she had like her she was like doing her job, putting stuff back. She was like putting some stuff near the front, and she was looking outside of the window, outside of the door at my brother in his car. And like he was close enough to where you could kind of see him inside of the car. And I have a Chad brother. My brother is a very good looking guy, and he's very dominant. He has this like type A kind of Tony Soprano type of personality. Takes nothing from no one. You know, Women are nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? That type of personality, just like an alpha male type of guy. And obviously he's in this Camaro, this sports car, man. This hot rod. And she's like, oh my, she's like, who's that? And I was like, who? And she's like, there's like a guy in a red Camaro outside. And she just kept looking, and I'm not gonna lie, bro. I just like, I was like, oh, that's my brother. And then she kind of looked at me. She kind of looked at me like in shock, and she did like this like opened-eyed, open mouth look, like shock, like, that's your brother? And I was like, yeah, I was like, that's my brother, he has a really nice car, right? I could tell she liked him, I could tell she liked him. She's like, yeah, he has a really nice car, wow. And that felt brutal. Like, she was pretty much swooning over my brother, my own flesh and blood, like the same father, the same mother. And he got, the Chad looks, and I didn't. And the girl that I liked was admiring him, pretty much getting moist and wet by looking at my brother. And when I told her that he was my brother, she looked at me like, how the hell are you related to him? How the hell are you and him related? You're this bum on a bike, catching rides, borrowing cars, and there's your brother, a Chad Rodriguez, in a hot rod, in a Camaro. And that, she pretty much told me that with that look. And I just like the rest of the night I was in pain. I was like in spiritual like pain. Like my heart hurt, like a vicious mog, a vicious deep wound, in pain, just leaking blood. You know what I'm saying? A big wound. And I remember like I walked out we left, and then I walked it, over to my brother's car. I hopped in to the passenger seat. Like, honestly, bro, like, if you're a man in a passenger seat with another man, or you're a man in a passenger seat in the back seat, like, as a man, bro, you're best off just walking rather than being in the passenger seat. It's so humiliating. It's so emasculating to get in the passenger seat. And like, she literally, like, she like walks right in front of the car. She like walks right in front of the car and says bye to me. Something she never does. Something she never has done. She walked by the car and said bye to me. And my brother was like, damn, who's that? My brother, being a Chad, he's like, damn, who's that? She's fine. She's sexy. And I was like, oh, it's just some girl, just some girl. And like, I never told my brother that that she was swooning over him. And people might say like, oh, you're fake, you're cock blocking, like, why didn't you tell your brother could have gotten some pussy? What type of cucked shit are you guys on? Why on God's green earth would I want any man, especially a man related to me, enjoying the woman that I want and desire? Why would I do that? Oh, well, you could get this, you could get a spiritual win. No, man. I wanted it to be me. I didn't want it to be my brother. I wanted it to be me. And, I never told him. And I mean, the way the world works, you never know, bro. The way the world works, my brother could have gone looking for her at the job and smashed, for all I know. The world's that crazy. I know the world is just run on coitus. This world is run by coitus. Like, people you don't even know are having coitus with each other, and that part really wounded me, man. Just the girl I liked, was swooning over my brother, and she couldn't believe that I was related to him, and it's just so brutal, bro. It's so brutal to think back to those really dark moments. But I want to bring that, I want to remember that. I want to stay grounded, But that's it for now. Peace out. This time for real.